Paratmanamekam Jagadbijamadyam Niriham Nirakaram Onkar Vedyam Yato Jayate Palyate Yena Vishvam Tamisham Bhaje Liyate Yatra Vishvam. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear devotees, we are meeting this time after a couple of months, and the last we studied was the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So today we shall get into the 8th chapter. And before we get into the main verses of the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, we need to understand the context of this wonderful discussion which is going to be kept before us by the Yogeshwara, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. So, if you all remember, when we studied the 15th chapter, we had noted that Sri Krishna says this 15th chapter is the essence of the whole of the Gita. And Shankaracharya says 15th chapter of the Gita is not only the essence of the whole of the Bhagavad Gita, it is the essence of the Vedas itself. So in those short 20 verses of the 15th chapter, we get the cream of the entire Hindu Vedic system of thought. At that, Shankaracharya had made a beautiful comment. He had stated, what is this 15th chapter going to teach us? He says, Bhagavat Tattva Jnanam and Moksha Phalam. Two beautiful terms he uses. I am once again revisiting these terms because it matters. This is what is the essence of all that Hinduism has to teach to humanity. And what is that? Shankaracharya says, Bhagavat Tattva Jnanam, the true nature of the supreme reality. That is one thing. See, we can imagine about the supreme reality in different ways, and that is what usually we do. But imagination is an imagination. Here the whole concern is about what that supreme reality is in its true nature, and not as we imagine it. So Bhagavad Tattva Jnana, the true nature of the supreme reality as it is and not as we imagine about it. And the outcome of this knowledge is what? Moksha Phalam. The fruit of this supreme knowledge is what? It is liberation. We become liberated from the cycle of birth and death. So this is what actually our Vedas or the Vedic system of thought teaches the entire humanity. Now when we talk about the supreme reality and its true nature, we studied other chapters, and that is, we studied the 13th chapter, and in the 13th chapter we had seen how Sri Krishna so beautifully keeps before us the nature of the supreme reality. And we had also studied the 7th chapter. The last chapter which we studied was the 7th chapter. And there we find the context of the 7th chapter. Let us start from the 6th chapter itself. From there the real context starts. If you just look into the whole of the Bhagavad Gita, this Bhagavad Gita can be categorized into 3 parts. The first 6 chapters deals with one subject. Then from chapter 7 to 12, it deals with a different aspect of the Supreme Reality. And then the last 6 chapters, it deals with the third aspect of the Supreme Reality. You see, the Upanishads tell us a great statement. And that statement is Tat Tvam Asi. Actually speaking, the whole of Hindu Dharma has to teach only this much to the humanity. And what is that? Tat Tvam Asi. Tvam Tat Asi. Tvam means you. What is your true nature? That is one thing. And what is Tat? Tat refers to that Supreme Reality. What is its true nature? Actually speaking, what we are referring to as you means this human beings, we are actually non-separate and non-distinct from that Supreme Reality. Presently, if you just see, our idea about who we are is totally wrong. That is the basic error with which we have become used to in our day-to-day life. We are living with the wrong notion about our own self. So there is an investigation needed to first understand what is our true nature. Who am I? So Upanishads tell us that our true nature is absolutely non-distinct and non-different from that Supreme Reality. So we don't know what is the meaning of this Tvam. Tvam means you. As I see you, you look at me. Now we are looking at each other as human beings. But is our identity limited to just what our senses reveal to us? It's a serious question. Is our understanding about each other just limited to what our senses are revealing to each other? As a human being with a human form, a man, a woman, is this the fact? It's a question. It's a question which needs investigation. Similarly, our idea of the Supreme Reality, that is again something based on imagination. It's very interesting, Our idea of Ishvara will be only an extension of what we think about ourselves. Again, I repeat, our idea of Ishvara and God is nothing but just a simple extension of what I understand about myself. Now, as long as I have this kind of a limited and a wrong understanding about my own self as somebody limited to this body-mind complex, my idea of God also is going to be of that kind. You see? So both these things, both these verities called Jiva and Ishvara needs investigation. And when we investigate, the truth begins to reveal and the truth begins to emerge. So this is the whole struggle to find out what is my true nature and what is the real meaning of the Supreme Reality. You may call that Supreme Reality Ishvara or by any other name, doesn't matter. But what is this Ishvara? Imagination of Ishvara is one thing, but what is the true nature of Ishvara as Ishvara is, not as an imagination? That is the whole brilliant and very fascinating discussion you will find in the Upanishads. Anyhow, so here, as I said, in the first 6 chapters, Krishna is presenting to us what is the true nature of this entity called I or you, Tvam. And it presents to us the true nature of the human being as that transcendent Atman. And from the 6th chapter onwards, from the 7th chapter onwards, from the 7 to 12, we find the immanent aspect of the Supreme Reality presented. Immanent aspect, Brahman associated with names and forms, which is what we refer to as Ishvara. So, it is very beautiful that from the 7th chapter to the 12th chapter, we come across this wonderful phenomenon of bhakti. And bhakti is always towards the Bhagavan. And one who has got bhakti, he is a bhakta. It is bhakta's association with Bhagavan. And again, as I said, who is this Bhagavan? As we imagine him. And what is the true nature of Bhagavan? That is the whole investigation. So in the 7th chapter, the context starts from the 6th chapter itself. Now see, before we enter into the 8th chapter, let us just go behind and then come to the 8th chapter, so that the ideas, as I said in the earlier classes also, in the Bhagavad Gita we find a beautiful continuity of ideas flowing from one chapter to the other chapters. It's so beautiful. So towards the end of the 6th chapter, Sri Krishna makes some very beautiful observations. In fact, he is instructing. He is giving some wonderful instruction to Arjuna based upon what he taught in the 6th chapter. The 6th chapter is known as Atma Sanyama Yogo Nama, or it is also known as Dhyana Yogo Nama, where Sri Krishna teaches Arjuna how to meditate upon the Atman. The first 6 chapters essentially deal with the true nature of the human being as the Atman. Now, talking about Atman is one thing, but what is the way to reach that? Yoga. Yoga means tat prapti upaya. The way to experience the Atman, and one of the powerful methods and the means to have this wonderful experience of the Atman is that amazing word called dhyana, meditation. And the 6th chapter, Sri Krishna beautifully elaborates the entire process of meditation. And towards the end of that chapter, Krishna says to Arjuna, he says, tapasvibhyodhiko yogi, jnanebhyopi matodhikah, karmebhyaschadhiko yogi, tasmat yogi bhava Arjuna. It's an instruction to Arjuna, it's an instruction to all of us. Krishna is saying to Arjuna, hey Arjun, therefore, tasmat, therefore, what? Hey Arjun, be a yogi, be a yogi. Be a yogi. Be a yogi. Yogi in the 6th chapter means be a person completely dedicated to this wonderful discipline of meditation, dhyana. Be a yogi, be a yogi. And there Krishna is presenting to us the superiority of meditation compared to all other practices. Krishna says, tapasvibhyo adhiko yogi. Compared to the tapasvis, the person who is meditating on the Atman, he is superior. Now that tapasvis means those people who undertake meaningless austerities, means meaninglessly just torturing the human body without any reference to self-knowledge. There are many people who do this. They undertake different kinds of austerities without actually reference to the self-knowledge. That kind of meaningless torturing of the body or depriving the body of the essential things, actually speaking, doesn't take us anywhere. Compared to that, Sri Krishna is saying that you be a yogi. Yogi is superior. Yogi means a person who is meditating on the Atman. He is superior to the person who is given to this kind of an austerity, a meaningless austerity. Then he says, Jnanipyo bhimatodhikah. This meditator, the dhyana yogi, is even superior to jnani. That is very perplexing, because in Vedanta, jnani is the highest person. But here jnana refers to the theoretical knowledge. Compared to a person who has got just theoretical knowledge, bookish knowledge of the supreme reality, this meditator is superior, and this is very much true. Well, what is the meaning of bookish knowledge? Bookish knowledge doesn't take us anywhere. As long as we don't put this bookish knowledge into practice, it has got no meaning. So Sri Krishna says that compared to this kind of a jnani, who is only having conceptual knowledge, or who is only versed in scriptures theoretically, this person who is straight away communing with the reality, he is supreme. Then karmebhyaschadiko yogi. And even compared to the people who are given to selfish actions, sakama karma, even compared to them, this person who is given to meditation is superior. And therefore, Krishna says, hey Arjuna, be a yogi, be a yogi, be a yogi. What a beautiful message it is. Tasmad yogi bhava, yogi bhava, yogi bhava. It's a beautiful awakening call to all of us that be dedicated to this practice of meditation, Dhyana Yoga, through which we commune with our own true self, we commune with the Supreme Reality. What a beautiful thing it is. And then he says, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana. Even among the yogis, people meditate on different things. People meditate on different deities for selfish interests. No, even that is not the main purpose of meditation. Meditation has to be on the Supreme Reality, Ishvara. He is the best among the yogis. So this is how the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita comes to an end with a beautiful appeal coming from Yogeshwara Bhagavan Sri Krishna to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to all of us. Krishna is saying, become a yogi, become a yogi. Yogi is a person who meditates on Ishvara. Now, obviously the next question comes. To meditate on Ishvara, one has to have the right knowledge of what Ishvara is. One should get the right understanding of what Ishvara is from the scriptures and from the Guru. This knowledge cannot come from any other source. This is an indispensable factor in spiritual life. The true understanding of what Ishvara is, it has to come from Guru and from the Shastras. And that's why the 7th chapter starts beautifully. Now, if you have to meditate, I have to meditate, if we all have to meditate, we have to have the right understanding about what Ishvara is. Not as we imagine. Our imagination is an imagination. Now, we have to have the right idea of what this Ishvara Tattva is. And therefore, the 7th chapter so beautifully commences, where Sri Krishna says, now I am going to tell you in its entirety. 2 words are beautifully placed before us. Sri Krishna says, I am going to tell you in its entirety. Means nothing will be left out. Beautiful. This great teacher is telling that I am going to open up this box to you, where the secret is held. What is this Supreme Reality? Nothing is going to be left out now. The entire thing is going to be placed before you. And what is that? The thing which he is going to talk about? The true nature of Ishvara. And how to attain it and how to keep the mind fixed on it. The first verse itself is so beautiful. Krishna says, Maya saktamana partha yogam yunjan madashraya asamshayam samagram mam yatha gyasyasi tachrunu. So beautiful. He is saying that the way you means all of us, the way we all are going to know the true nature of the Supreme Reality in its entirety and without any doubt. The sentence is very important, very beautiful. The way you and I are going to gain the knowledge of the Supreme Reality, the way we are going to gain the knowledge of the Supreme Reality, and the knowledge in its entirety, samagram, and asamshayam, with no trace of doubt about it. It's a beautiful thing. Presently, we are always confused. Is God this? Is God that? Today we meditate on this form of God, then we give up that form, then we hold on to some other form. Somebody else comes and tells something, then our mind is changed. This is the state of the human mind, because it is always in doubt, because it doesn't know. It has not got the right direction coming from the Shastras and the Guru. So the Shastra and the Guru is an indispensable factor in spiritual life. Absolutely, I'm telling this absolutely in double quotes. The true nature of the Supreme Reality comes only from the Shastras, only from the Upanishads. Upanishatsu eva vigyayate nanyatra. Shankaracharya's clarion call is an indispensable factor. The true nature of the Supreme Reality has to come from the Upanishads, from no other source. So, Sri Krishna is just repeating that. He is saying, you see, gaining the knowledge of the Supreme Reality in its totality, with no trace of doubt. How are you going to do that? Mai asaktamana. With your mind attached to Ishvara, number one. Yogam Yunjan, constantly meditating on Ishvara. Number 3, Mad Ashrayaha, by completely taking refuge in Ishvara and Ishvara alone. Right in the beginning, the entire spiritual discipline is placed before us. Sri Krishna presents to us the entire spiritual discipline. Attachment not to worldly things. Attachment not to wives and husbands and children and money. No. Attachment to whom? Ishvara and Ishvara alone. Mai asaktamana, number 1. And then Yogam Yunjan. He is talking about meditation because the 6th chapter spoke about meditation. Meditation on the Supreme Reality. But what is the Supreme Reality? That is what Krishna is going to talk about. So Yogam Yunjan, meditating on that Supreme Reality and taking full refuge in that Supreme Reality alone. By doing this, the way you are going to gain the knowledge of that Supreme Reality in all its entirety and without any trace of doubt, that is what I am going to tell you here, Arjuna, in the 7th chapter. Jnanam teham savijnanam idam vakshami asheshataha. I am going to tell you in its totality, both jnanam and vijnanam. Jnanam refers to the conceptual knowledge of the Supreme Reality. Jnanam refers to the theoretical knowledge of the Supreme Reality. Theoretical knowledge also has got an important place. You can't just sideline it, because everyone goes towards the God in and through the theoretical knowledge, which finally matures into an experiential knowledge. So both are required. Of course, compared to the experiential knowledge, this theoretical knowledge is nothing. But in the transactional plane, even the right theoretical knowledge has got an important place in our spiritual life. So Krishna says, I am going to tell you about both theoretical as well as the experiential knowledge, after which there will not remain anything more to be known. Means he is talking about a super excellent fruit, beyond which there is nothing more to be attained in human life. It's a wonderful statement. Jnanam teham savijnanam, along with the experiential knowledge, idam vakshyami asheshataha. I am going to tell you everything in its totality, and beyond which there is nothing more to be known. And then the 7th chapter started. If you all remember, Sri Krishna in the beginning says, you see, among thousands and thousands of people who want to gain this knowledge, only a few perhaps will succeed in this knowledge. Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschit yatati siddhai yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam veti tattvataha. Means the durlabhata, or the rarity of this great attainment. It is not that easy. This is what exactly Shankaracharya starts his Vivek Chudamani with. In Vivek Chudamani, he makes this beautiful statement. He says, this mukti, this great attainment of moksha, this is the rarest thing to happen in this creation. And if it happens by the grace of Ishvara. Daivanugraha hetukam. That is how this magnanimously he starts his Vivek Chudamani. The same thing here Sri Krishna says. The durlabhata, the rarity and the difficulty of having this great attainment. Okay, now what is the true nature of Ishvara, upon which this great factor of moksha depends? Bhagavad Tattva Jnanam and Moksha Phalam. Now what is this Bhagavad Tattva Jnanam? Sri Krishna presents a beautiful picture. It's an amazing picture, where he says, you see, this Ishvara whom we are talking about, this Ishvara has got two prakritis, the lower prakriti and the higher prakriti, apara prakriti and para prakriti. Ishvara's lower prakriti is what is referred to as matter, and that very Ishvara's higher prakriti is what is referred to as consciousness. We had seen bhumi rapo nalo vayu kham mano buddhirevacha ahankaramiti yamme bhinna prakriti rashtadha apara iyam. This is what is apara prakriti. Bhumi, apo, nalo means the panchatattvas and mana, buddhi and all those things. This all comes within the realm of matter. the material dimension of this creation. This is apara prakriti. But superior to this prakriti is what is consciousness. And then beautifully Sri Krishna says, Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhava paralayas tatha matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. See, in these three verses, Sri Krishna is painting the complete picture of the Supreme Reality, what Ishvara is. Now, actually speaking, what we are experiencing through our sense organs, we are all seeing nothing but Ishvara. We are seeing Ishvara's two prakritis through our sense system, sense organs itself. All of us, we are seeing, literally speaking, Ishvara's two prakriti, the matter and consciousness. Are we seeing anything else apart from these two? The para prakriti and apara prakriti. But whose prakriti? This is what is Ishvara's prakriti. Ishvara's prakriti is Ishvara itself. So both matter and consciousness together is what is Ishvara. It is Ishvara, and this Ishvara is the source, yoni. Etat yoni ni bhutani. This para prakriti and apara prakriti is what is the yoni. It is the source of everything that we are experiencing here. The play of Srishti, Sthiti and Pralay which is going on, it is all the play of this para prakriti and apara prakriti of Ishvara, which is continuously going on, beginninglessly and endlessly, which is continuously going on. So Sri Krishna is saying, Etad yonini bhutani sarvani iti upadharaya aham krishnasya jagata prabhava pralayastata. I am the one from where this entire world emerges, exists and dissolves. Prakriti dvayadvarena aham sarvagya ishvaraha jagata karanam. Shankaracharya says so beautifully. In and through these two prakritis, in and through matter and consciousness, I become the cause of everything that is seen here. It's a beautiful picture painted about what the Supreme Reality is. So we should not think that the Supreme Reality is only transcendent, it is also immanent. This is the beautiful, complete picture of reality which Sri Krishna is presenting to all of us. Just like Shankaracharya says in his Aparokshanubhuti, Drishtim Jnanamayam Kritva Pashyet Brahmamayam Jagat. This is what Sri Ramakrishna talks about as Vijnana. It is the same vision, that seeing everything as Ishvara. It is very interesting to refer to one incident here, the incident of Naren. Naren in Kashipur, we all know that story, but it's very relevant in this context to just touch upon that point. Usually, our tendency is to think that only the transcendent aspect of reality is reality. Naren also had this misconception in him. In Kashipur, under the guidance of Sri Ramakrishna, when Naren was undergoing his spiritual disciplines, he was going through all the sadhanas there, and he was deeply hankering, like any other, what should I say, a perfectly eligible seeker of truth. He was wanting to experience the Supreme Reality. And Naren, guided by Sri Ramakrishna, the great teacher, he is drowned in meditation, and by the grace of Ishvara, he succeeds in attaining Nirvikalpa Samadhi. We all know that story. And then Naren comes and tells Sri Ramakrishna that, Thakur, I want to remain in that state of Nirvikalpa Samadhi. I don't want to come out of it. I would just come out of that state only to have a little bit of, say, something for the sake of the body, little bit of water, some food, and again I want to be immersed in that samadhi. And what was this great teacher's, the way of correcting this mistake? Sri Ramakrishna scolded him. In fact, any other guru might have felt very delighted to find this kind of a disciple who wants to remain immersed in Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna, this is the vision, the Bhagavad Gita's vision. The vision of the Upanishads, the vision of Shankaracharya. What is that? Sri Ramakrishna says, what is this, Naren? You want to just, when you close your eyes, that is God. And what about when you open your eyes? Is this not God? So that is just half of the story, to think that only when we close our eyes we are in touch with God. The other half, the story becomes complete when we understand that with the open eyes also what we are experiencing is nothing but Ishvara and Ishvara alone. Now this is a difficult part. It is not that easy. It is easily said than done, because we have our old mental conceptions, which work like a stumbling block in attaining this vision that what we are seeing is Ishvara and Ishvara alone. In fact, according to the Upanishads, we imagine God in different forms, and we are fond of human forms. As I said, our idea of God is just an extension of what I think about myself. As long as I am trapped in a human mold, my idea of God also is going to be of a human mold. But that's not the supreme picture of reality. So the Upanishads' vision of reality is what? According to the Upanishads and the great masters, the best form of God is what? This what we are seeing through our sense organs, this is the best form of God. This is the best form of Ishvara, naturally available to us. Because we are unable to understand this point, we need the help of some so-called humanized, anthropomorphic form of gods. Fine. That is all only meant for for helping us to come to the reality. But a true jnani, a person who is established in this vision coming from the Shastras and the Guru Kripa, his vision is different. This is what Shankaracharya says, Drishting Jnanamayam Kritva. With that Jnana Chakshu and Jnana Drishti, see everything as Ishvara. Where else is Ishvara? Then this is what Swami Vivekananda was repeating. It is that beautiful poem. Bahurupe samukhe tumar, chhadiye kothaye khuji jo Ishvara. This God is standing in front of you in so many forms. Living this form of God, which form of God are you looking for? That is the big question. But this is more easily said than done because of our old mental habits. The old mental habits which is so much hypnotized into the thinking that what I am seeing is Jagat and these are all Jivas. But through sadhana, that is what actually is the importance of sadhana. As we keep on doing sadhana, this old mental habit begins to become weaker and weaker, and you begin to develop the right vision of seeing the reality as it is. That is what Krishna said in the 7th chapter, when he said, Etad yonini bhutani sarvani ityupudharaya aham krishnasya jagatah prabhava pralayastata. Then he says, Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. This is beautiful. There is nothing here apart from me. Matta parataram. There is nothing superior to me here. I am the only thing which is existing here. And how is that I am existing? Sri Krishna says, Mai sarvamidam protam sutre manigana iva. I am existing in everybody just like a thread which is going through the different flowers to become a beautiful garland. Just like a thread which is running through the different flowers, different beautiful flowers. Who is holding all these flowers together? The thread, the central thread which is running through all the different flowers to become a beautiful garland. Similarly, it is one Ishvara which is running through all these so-called garlands. These are all different flowers, not garlands. Every form which we are seeing here, these are all just like different flowers which is held together by the thread of Ishvara. Sri Krishna is saying, whatever we are seeing is nothing but Ishvara. But we don't understand this point. Anyhow, so this is the picture of Ishvara which Sri Krishna keeps before us in the 7th chapter. And then he gives a series of examples to show, you see, whatever we are seeing here, it is all nothing but Ishvara and Ishvara alone. I am not going into that. That is not necessary also. And then towards the end of the 7th chapter, a beautiful statement Sri Krishna makes. He says, Jara marana mokshaya mamashritya yatantiye te brahma tad vidu kritsnam adhyatmam karma chakilam Sadi bhudati devam mam, sadi yagyam chaye viduhu, prayana kale pichamam te vidur yukta chetasaha. These are the last 2 verses of the 7th chapter, where after discussing, after giving this entire picture of what the Supreme Reality is, Sri Krishna is saying, no, why are we seeking the knowledge of the Supreme Reality? Why? Jara Marana Mokshaya. Mokshaya. Moksha is what? Khandana Bhavabandhana. See, we come back to the same point. It is to break away from this bondage, this terrible bondage. Bondage of what? Jara and Marana. It's a terrible thing. Jara is what? Old age. And Marana, death. Old age and death. Who can escape it? No one can escape it. Human life starts with birth and then it goes through 6 stages. We all know that. The great masters, they have kept before us these 6 stages. Jati, Asti, Vardhate, Viparinamanate, Apakshiyate and Mriyate. Mriyate means Nashyati. So these are the 6 stages through which every jiva has to go through. Jati means is born. Asti, then the moment the child is born, it remains in a certain way for some time. Then Vardhate, it begins to grow. Then Viparinamanate, it begins to change. Then Apakshiyate, then slowly it begins to decay. And finally, Mriyate, one day it dies. Every soul has to go through these 6 changes. There is no escape from this point. And it is only a foolish person sees Sukham in this. This point is elaborately discussed by Shankaracharya and Vivekananda. Only a aviveki will see happiness in this. What is happiness in this? Where is happiness in this? Janma dukkham. Shankaracharya would say in other places. Janma dukkham, balyavastha dukkham, vardhakyam, yauvanam dukkham, vardhakyam dukkham, mrityu dukkham, sarvam dukkham. Only a foolish person, a moodha. Shankaracharya is very fond of using this term called moodha everywhere. The Bhajagovindam also you will see. What is that? Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modamate. O foolish person, come on. Seek the reality, don't waste your time. Samprapte sannihite marane. Death is standing at the door. Nothing can save you. Death is just knocking at the door. The time is going away. Samprapte sannihite marane. Nahi nahi rakshate tunkring karane. The rules of grammar which you are memorizing, this is not going to save you from this cycle of birth and death. So what is that we are supposed to do? Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Modamate. Bhaja Govindam literally means seek the reality. Bhagavad Tattva Jnanam and Moksha Phalam. So anyway, towards the end of the 7th chapter, Sri Krishna is saying, Jara Marana Mokshaya, aspiring to become free from the cycle of Jara and Marana, Mamashritya. Acha, how are you going to come out of this cycle of birth and death? You have to take refuge in Ishvara. Mamashritya yatanti. The seeker of truth, he or she strives. How does he or she strive? By taking refuge in Ishvara. Mamashritya yatanti. Now, a person who strives in this way by taking refuge at the feet of Ishvara and with the aspiration to come out of this cycle of birth and death, with an intense aspiration for moksha, khandana bhavabandhana, what happens to that person? You see, it's a very important point. Sri Krishna is saying that when you aspire to become free from this cycle of birth and death by taking refuge at the feet of Ishvara, what happens is that knowledge dawns. Knowledge. The right knowledge will dawn. Knowledge of what? Brahman. He says, Te Brahma tad viduhu. That person will get the knowledge of what the Supreme Reality is. Krishnam Adhyatmam, everything about this mysterious individual self. And Karmacha Akhilam, he will know the mystery of what is happening around him. And Sadhibhutadi Devam, he will know what this Adhibhuta is. And Sadhiyagyam Chaye Viduhu, he will know the mystery of what this Adhiyagyam is. And prayana kale vichamam te vidur yukta chetasaha. So there, you see, the 7th chapter ends with these points. There, Sri Krishna is talking about 5 different contexts in which we understand the supreme reality. The supreme reality in the context of this individual self, Ishvara in the context of this individual self, Ishvara in the context of all the different creatures which we are seeing through our senses, Ishvara in the context of the divine entities, Ishvara in the context of yajna, and Ishvara in the context of karma, action. In short, let us not be confused with these terms. What Krishna wants to say is that this person will understand Ishvara in its totality. Because there is nothing existing apart from Ishvara. Whether it is in the individual context, it is Ishvara. Whether it is in the context of the Adhibhuta, in the context of the different creatures which we are seeing, it is Ishvara. Whether it is in the context of the divine entities, the different gods and goddesses existing in this nature, that is also Ishvara only. And in the context of yajnas, the different yajnas which we perform, there also it is Ishvara. And also the karmas, all the actions which are going on, it is all nothing but Ishvara. This is the knowledge which this person will gain when that person strives to come out of this bondage by taking refuge in the supreme reality called Ishvara. This is the kind of a knowledge which will emerge in his heart. His vision changes. He understands that there is nothing existing apart from Ishvara. Now the beautiful question comes. When a person gains this kind of a knowledge, what kind of a knowledge? That actually speaking, there is nothing existing apart from Ishvara. Again, I repeat, this is the crux of the whole discussion. When anybody comes to this kind of a knowledge that there is existing nothing apart from Ishvara, no matter which context you take, it is all Ishvara and Ishvara alone. When you have this kind of a clear vision and conviction, now tell me, when that person, he or she breathes his or her last, just imagine that person is on the deathbed. Just few more breaths are left. Now, where will that person's mind go? Is there any chance for that person's mind to get distracted or deviated from Ishvara? Because that person has gained this firm conviction and an inner vision that there is nothing existing apart from Ishvara and Ishvara. So, at the time of death, even at the time of death, Krishna says, this person will be absolutely undistracted and that person's mind will be completely focused on that supreme reality alone, and that person will leave the body. Now, the 8th chapter starts from this point onwards. This is just the context I was building, and the 8th chapter is very fascinating. In the coming weeks, we shall look into the deeper aspects of it, where Krishna will beautifully present. It's an art of dying. All of us have to face death someday or the other. It is the biggest reality. In fact, the only reality is death. Rest everything is just like a shadow. Death is a great event which is waiting to come into every jiva's life. It is going to come. But how are we going to face it? There is a way to embrace death. There is a way to negotiate death with proper vision and a proper understanding of the supreme reality. That is what Krishna is going to present in this 8th chapter. A beautiful chapter where the whole central idea is this great moment of leaving this gross body. One can imagine, so beautiful. It may be just last few breaths are left. Where is the mind? In wives and husbands and children and money in this world? Where is the human mind? Beautiful. Sri Krishna is going to tell us, how are we going to master the mind in such a way that in the last moments the mind doesn't go anywhere else. It remains focused on Ishvara and Ishvara. That can only happen if we have gained this vision that Ishvara alone is existing. For a person who has come to this clear vision and conviction that there is nothing existing apart from Ishvara, for him, there is no reason why his or her mind should get deviated or distracted and go into any other channels. It is not possible. So that is what is the main discussion which we shall slowly get into the 8th chapter. So let us just take a few verses from the 8th chapter. This was just an introduction. So the last 2 verses of the 7th chapter is the seed from where the 8th chapter begins. Sri Krishna himself had stated that, you see Arjun, a person who is taking refuge in me and he does sadhana, what happens is that he will get the knowledge of Ishvara in all the different contexts. And he speaks about 5 different contexts. Ishvara in the context of this individual, Ishvara in the context of the divine entities, Ishvara in the context of all the living creatures, Ishvara in the context of action, and Ishvara in the context of yajna. Let us not worry about these technical terms. The simple, essential part of this 5 context is that there can be infinite contexts. Why only these 5? You can take any context. In all the contexts, what Krishna wants to say is that Ishvara alone is existing. Nothing else is existing. We have to fix our mind over this point, that there is nothing existing apart from Ishvara. So here 5 different contexts have been taken up. And the 7th chapter ends up with these 5 contexts which Sri Krishna speaks about. Now Arjuna picks up those very points and asks Krishna the further details about these contexts. That is how the 8th chapter starts. Let us just see what Arjuna asks here to Krishna. So Ashrama Adhyaya, Arjuna Vacha, Arjun says, Arjun is now asking this question based upon what Krishna had told him towards the end of the 7th chapter. So the question is, Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama adhibhutam cha kim proktam adhidaivam kim uchyate adhiyagya katham kotra dehesmin madhusudana prayana kale cha katham geyosi niyatatmabhihi. In these 2 verses, Arjuna is broaching those very points which Krishna had referred to towards the end of the 7th chapter. The question is very simple. He is saying, Arjuna was talking about that supreme reality, is it not? The supreme reality which is referred to as Brahman. So the first question is, Kim tad Brahma? What is that supreme reality? Hey Krishna. Now see, this is all the questions related to our minds. For us, Brahman is just a term. We want to know what this Brahman is. We have to bring it down to our own levels, This is the question which should be troubling our mind. What is that supreme reality? It's not enough just to be satisfied with what is going on at the sensory plane. Being a human being, we have to be investigative. We have to investigate into the supreme reality, and this investigation only a human being can do. No one else can do. So the first question, so beautiful. Kim tat Brahma? So beautiful. Shankaracharya in his Bhajagovinda Sutram, he says, Kastvam koham kutayat kame janani kome tata iti paribhavaya sarvamasaram vishvam tyaktva swapna vicharam bhajagovindam bhajagovindam govindam bhajamudamate samprapte sannihite marane nahi nahi rakshati tokram. So beautiful. So everywhere it's a questioning. That is the beauty of Hindu Dharma. Only in Hindu Dharma questions can be asked. In other systems, you're not allowed to open your mouth. It's all closed, tight systems. This is an absolutely open system. You are supposed to ask questions. You have to ask questions about, you have to question God himself. That's the openness of this beautiful system, only in Hindu system alone. So that Shankaracharya says, Kastvam, who are you? Beautiful question. Very profound questions. Who are you? Kastvam. Koham. Who am I? These 2 pronouns which we are constantly using, you and I, you and I. The whole Brahma Sutra Adhyasa Bhashya starts with this. What is the meaning of I and what is the meaning of you? Both these words are mysterious. All that we understand about I and you is what? This body-mind complex. Is this the real idea of I and you? Who am I? Who are you? Kastvam koham kutayat. From where have we emerged? From where has this mysterious entities emerged? And we are just like bubbles. These mysterious entities which appear in front of us, they are just appearing and disappearing. We are all just like bubbles, literally bubbles, Shankaracharya says. Bubbles on a sheet of water. So who am I? And who are you? And from where have we emerged? Kame janani, kome tata. That entity whom I am referring to as my mother, my mother, my mother, who is she? Find it out. Let all the delusion go away. Our mind is full of moha, deluded, clouded. Let the vision become clear. Who is this entity whom you are referring to as your mother, mother, mother? It's all clouded. Let us be very blunt. It's absolutely moha. Kame janani, kome tata. Who is this entity called as father? Now, mother and father is two entities. You can bring all your relatives and whole family into it. Husbands and wives and children. And there's no end to it. So, kastvam koham kutayate. Kame janani kome tata. Iti parib. And when you investigate, what will happen, you know? Everything will be found to be asaram, nissaram. All our ideas as fathers and mothers and husbands and children, you will find to be absolutely baseless. Iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram vishvam tyak. Where is Jagat? Where is Jiva? It is all Govindam and Govindam alone. What great masterly presentation of reality. As long as we don't investigate, we are caught up in this cloud of delusion, thinking that this is mother, this is father, this is husband, this is children. Now let the vision change. When the vision changes, we will see that nothing. We are dealing with Ishvara in so many forms. Can you have Ishvara limited to a place? Ishvara limited to somewhere only in the temple? Swami Vivekananda says that is good for kindergarten children. It's good. We need it. Can't help it. But what is the real vision of Ishvara? Can it be limited to a place, sthana vishishta? Or can it be kala vishishta also? Can you limit, oh, God will come at the time of death? It's another thing to be thought about. Is not God now? Is some entity going to come at a certain point of time? Is Ishvara kala vishishta or sthana vishishta? These are all tremendous investigations which we find in the Upanishads. So there, Shankaracharya says, Kastvam koham kutayata kame janani kome tata iti paribhavaya sarvam asaram vishvam tyaktva sapna vicharam bhaja govindam govindam bhaja modamati samprapte sannihite marane nahi nahi rakshati. So here, the same kind of investigation. Kim tat Brahma? What is that supreme reality? So beautiful. What is the supreme reality? I want to know it. I am not satisfied with my imaginations about it. No, imaginations cannot satisfy us. You write it down. How much ever you may imagine about it, it won't satisfy the soul as long as we don't come to the crux of this whole investigation. So, Kim tat Brahma? Kim Adhyatmam? I want to know everything about this entity, Adhyatma. I want to know about that. I want to know about this. Two entities. And about both the things we are confused today. Our idea about this is in confusion. Our idea about that is in darkness. I want to know what this Brahman word which we are using, what that entity is. And I want to know about this Adhyatmam, what is the true nature of this self here. Then, Kim Karma? What is this all activity going on? It's perplexing. It is confounding. It is hiding the reality. I want to know the mystery of all these activities going on. Kim tat? The processes going on. It's a very technical term. Processes. In this creation, different processes are going on. Now, see the answer, the beautiful answer which comes from Sri Krishna. So, Arjuna is asking, what is that Brahman I want to know? What is this Adhyatma I want to know? And what is this karma, the different processes which are going on in this creation? And adhibhutam chakim proktam. What is this adhibhuta? The different creatures which I am experiencing through my sensory system. the different living entities, Adhibhutam. What is the mystery behind this? It all seems to be separate and distinct. This is separate, this is separate. The different activities going on, it's all confounding. So what is this Adhibhutam? And Adhidaivam kimuchyate. What is that Adhidaiva? The different divine entities which usually we are accustomed to adore for several selfish reasons, whatever it is. What are these divine entities? Adhyagya katham kotra. And what is this Adhyagya? Yagya, this is slightly in the Vedic context. We need not be worried about it. While giving the answer, I will make this point clear. What is this Adhyagya? Adhyagya means, simply speaking, in the olden days, people, householders, everybody used to perform yagya. Yagya was an inseparable part of our ancient Indian lifestyle. Everybody would perform yagya. Yagya was a daily affair. So, who is existing? Who is the real person who is existing in the yagya? Then, Dehismin Madhusudana. And then what? Prayana kalecha katham geyosi nayatatmabhi. Beautiful. That is the most beautiful point. Arjuna is asking, Prayana kali. There is something called Prayana kala. Prayana means Prasthana kala. Prasthana means departure. Agama, Prasthana. Agama is coming and Prasthana is departure. So Prayana means departure. The moment of departing. It's a very important point. There comes a time in the life of a jiva when the subtle body will drop this gross body. The gross body is dropped and the subtle body continues its journey towards a new gross body. That is what is Prayana Kala, Prasthana Kala. You depart. Usually, when we depart, we also come back. This is the phenomenon. Usually, when a jiva departs from this gross body, he comes back in another body. It is all Gata Gatam Kama Kama Labhante, as the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita had said. As long as we have desires for the worldly things, there is going as well as there is coming back. And this going and coming, going and coming, going and coming is going on endlessly. What Shankaracharya says beautifully. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam, iha samsari kaludustari, kripaya pari pahimurari. So beautiful. Again born, again dying. Punarapi jananam, punarapi janani jathare shayanam. Again entering into the womb of the mother. How many times we have entered into the womb of the mother? Iha samsare kaludustari. This life is really very difficult. It is very difficult to come out of the cycle of birth and death. Kripaya pare pahi murari. Hey Murari, hey Ishvara, out of your grace, please guide me and show me the way to come out of this cycle of birth and death. That's what. So Prayana Kali. Now the question is, Arjuna is asking a very important question. Now let me tell you, this is so important for the common man, actually speaking. At the time of death, the question is, Prayana kale pichanam katham geyusi niyatatmani. At the final moments, how am I going to gain the knowledge of Ishvara? Katham geyosi. Geyosi. How am I going to know the true nature of Ishvara? At the time of departing, niyatatmabhihi, one who has practiced, one who has lived a disciplined life, that person towards the end of his life, when he is breathing his last few breaths, how is he going to gain the knowledge of Supreme Reality? It's a very, very important. Now let us see in the next class the answers given by Sri Krishna. So in short, this 8th chapter is completely dedicated to the answers, dedicated to the questions raised by Arjuna. These questions are actually related to the different contexts. Adhibhuta, Adhidaiva, Adhyatma, Karma and Yajna. In short, let us not worry about the technicalities of these terms, simply saying, Arjuna wants to ask, what is the mystery of this everything? That's all. In all the contexts. In all the contexts, whatever we are experiencing, what is the mystery behind it. And Sri Krishna is going to unravel the mystery, and he is going to tell us how are we going to fix our mind on the supreme reality at the departing moment. That is the most fascinating. You can see the beautiful art of dying. Actually, the 8th chapter is teaching us the art of dying. It's an art, just like a painting is an art, music is an art, dying can also be an art if you take it in an artistic sense. How to leave this body in a full conscious manner, provided we do the right thing which we are supposed to do in our day-to-day life. We shall see that in the next class. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.